Ladies and gentlemen, this is Joe Imbriano coming to you from Fullerton, California, and I'm just here to give you a little taste of what the future holds, folks. This is what the compact city is going to consist of, and this is the beginning stages of it, folks. This is wood frame construction, stack 'em and pack 'em, high density hellhole, folks. This thing goes all the way down the block. Look at this thing. Look at how far down this thing goes. This camera's not doing it justice, folks, but this is what you're looking at here, folks, is the construction of a prison. This is a prison, folks. This is a prison that is called high density housing, and inside each one of these units is going to be LED lighting, microwave ovens, Wi-Fi systems, wireless systems, bad air quality, because you can't get cross ventilation inside one of these things. You're going to be having shared air with your roommates and residents. You're going to be sharing the air with all of these people, folks. This is a kill grid, ladies and gentlemen. You get to live next to this drainage ditch here, and you know, eventually it's going to be full of homeless people. But folks, this is the future. This is what they're doing. They're getting everybody off the land, folks, and this is the model. They want it. You know, you would think this is in like New York or something by looking at this. But this is the concrete jungle, folks. This used to be the most fertile farmland in the United States with the best climate in the world, Southern California. And look what they're doing to it, folks. And this is what they've got planned for you and your children. They're going to warehouse everybody and euthanize them. And when I say that, I mean that, folks. The Agenda 21 plan is to get everybody out of the compact cities, everybody into the compact cities, and everybody out of their cars, folks, because let me tell you what's going to be illegal. That, folks. You won't be able to get gasoline anymore. They're going to ban it. They're going to ban the combustion of it, folks. I don't know if any of you have read the report from Iron Mountain. It was a study commissioned by the Kennedy administration in the early 60s. And it called for, amongst other things, increasing pollution rates. Yes, that's right, folks. You heard me. Did you ever wonder why the American auto industry had 4-barrel carburetors and 400 cubic inch engines on the cars when the Japanese were able to whip out these 4 cylinders overnight and destroy the auto market in the 70s? You remember that, ladies and gentlemen? The United States was under orders to increase pollution rates. Now, guess what we got about 5 or 6 years after the Iron Mountain report was commissioned? Oh, and let me digress for a second. Have you ever seen those Chevron commercials where they're bragging about they're putting Techron in the gasoline, and their commercials say that their gasolines have added nitrogen? Ladies and gentlemen, do you remember that brown smog, that brown haze you used to see a long time ago? That was oxides of nitrogen, folks. Now they're putting the nitrogen back in the gasoline, but what happened after the Iron Mountain report was commissioned and the automobile manufacturers were commissioned to increase pollution rates by these 4-barrel carburetors and these gigantic 400 to 427, 350 cubic inch engines without any emission controls. Folks, they had intentionally increased pollution rates so they could get control of emissions, folks. And if you remember, in like 1967, you were required to have oxides of nitrogen regulation on the car, folks. You had to have an NOx inspection. Emission controls came online. What did they do? They increased pollution rates intentionally, ladies and gentlemen, as a pretext to get control of emissions. There were no emission controls on the cars, folks. They did this on purpose. They get the pollution rates through the roof, and then they come up with a solution to restrict and control. Now, we've got this situation going on with global warming. They're calling this phenomenon that's taking place with the weather that's being changed, they're calling it global warming, when in fact the weather's being modified by chemical castration of our atmosphere, folks. They spray our cold fronts and all of these low pressure systems with metallic nano compounds, and they hit them with phased array radar and microwave systems to superheat these systems and destroy the center of these disturbances and wipe out the rainfall, folks. And it just so happened that we missed all the rain we were supposed to get, and it rained everywhere it wasn't supposed to rain up in Northern California. Folks, they're controlling the weather to create the illusion that we're under a global warming catastrophe, when in fact, it is an engineered climate control operation And it's a psychological warfare operation to get you to accept the tyranny that's coming with the social re-engineering, to get you out of your automobile, to get you into the compact city, to get you to live in one of these things. Now let me show you what's going to be missing from your living arrangement in one of these things, folks. And like I said, this does not do it justice. This thing is so massive. I mean, it's probably a half a mile long. Well, okay, maybe a quarter mile long. It's really big. But what is really missing from this, folks, are going to be several things. Number one, did you notice there's no place to grow any food? You get this concrete wall for the backyard, and you know, if you want a view, you can look at the rats at night in the storm drain here. And maybe some of the homeless people pushing a shopping cart down there. You know what else you're going to be missing? Sunlight, folks, because guess what? There's hardly going to be any windows that are going to be allowing any ultraviolet light in, because guess what? All these windows on these homes are going to have that low E glass that's going to block all the UVA and UVB. So guess what? You won't get any ultraviolet light in your house, and you're going to end up with rickets, and you won't even know it, folks. That's right, you heard me. That's another thing this kill grid's all about, is to get you vitamin D deficient. You know what happens when you're vitamin D deficient? Look it up. Cancer becomes your best friend, especially you ladies that have mammary glands called breasts. That vitamin D deficiency works wonders to induce breast cancer. That's why they got all you ladies putting oil of Olay all over your face with SPF 5050 and wearing sunglasses everywhere. They want you to look like an albino vampire, when in fact you're starving yourself of life-giving light exposure that you need to survive. Another thing that's going to be missing in this high-density housing stack and pack Agenda 21 kill grid is fresh air, folks. Because like I said, in order for air to flow, it's got to have a place to come in, and it's got to have a place to go out. And you can't get air circulation in this thing unless you turn on a fan. And guess what happens when you turn that fan on? You know what it's going to bring in? It's going to bring in the air from your neighbor's unit. It's going to bring in all that carbon dioxide that all your neighbors are going to be breathing out. And all that methane they're farting out, folks. Because let me tell you something. You cannot get air circulation and air exchanges in these buildings unless the damper is opened up on the roof. And who's going to be controlling how much fresh air comes in through the HVAC systems in these places? I don't know about you, folks. I wouldn't want to be living in something where I'm not getting any sunlight and I'm not getting any fresh air. Yeah, you may be able to open your window, but guess what? You're still not going to get air exchanges because it can't go in one and out the other. Air doesn't travel at a right angle, folks. It takes a lot of force to make air pass through a building and do a 90-degree turn. You've got to have massive energy behind it to push it through. But it does tend to flow with relative ease in a straight line, but you don't have a straight line in these, folks, because you have a back wall that's going to be closed off. What you're going to have is a window in the front, maybe a window to the side of it, and that actually requires a complete 180. You can't get air to do that unless you have two fans going. I don't think people are going to have two fans on their balcony. So there's not going to be enough fresh air in these places. And so you're going to sit here inside these places, and guess what? You're going to have the lights built into the ceilings, folks, and they're going to be LED lights. And they're going to be the wrong spectrum, folks. They've got that designed too, because the wrong spectrum of lighting is intentionally designed for the destruction of your fertility and the destruction of your circadian rhythm. Because guess what happens when you have the wrong frequency of light at night? You can't sleep, and when you can't sleep, you can't heal. When you can't heal, you can't grow. And when you can't grow, you can't get better if you're sick. And you know what else it destroys? It destroys the quality of the eggs, folks. And that's really the goal of the LED streetlight agenda. As you can see, all these bright whites here, bright lights at night, folks. White light at night is no good. White light at night is no good, folks. And that's what they're putting everywhere. They're putting white lights in place of these orange high-pressure sodium lamps. They're retiring these because eventually what they're going to do is they're going to put these white lights everywhere to keep you awake all night. And they're going to put 5G transmitters on top of these things. They're going to be total surveillance grids, folks. Because the new LED lighting systems for the municipal installations are also going to be coming with sensors and cameras and all kinds of equipment where they can monitor, track, and trace everybody in the prison system, folks. Now, every one of these units will have one microwave oven, possibly built into the kitchen, and it'll be used all the time. It will have smart meters on the walls. It will have Wi-Fi routers probably built into the association here, or everyone's going to have their own 2 or 3 systems. There's probably going to be about 10 wireless devices in each unit that are going to be emitting, and they're going to be going through all the walls, and they're going to be going through your walls, and you're going to be getting irradiated 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year for as long as you live in this place. So guess what, folks? I didn't talk about something else. You get to drink the water. And yes, this is Metropolitan Water District fed Fullerton, folks, and it's fluoridated for your enjoyment. And let me tell you something, when you put sodium fluoride in the water, you end up with fluorosis, you end up with fluoride calcifying your pineal gland and calcifying a lot of things in your body, folks. Sodium fluoride causes cancer, folks, and that's why they're putting in the water. It also anesthetizes the public. It takes away your aggression, folks. It turns you into an emasculated jello brain that wants to just watch TV and microwave your Hot Pockets. Well, this is going to be perfect for you if you want to watch TV all day on your 25 square foot television set. This is the place for you to live, folks, because that's the plan. They want you staring at a television screen, staring at a computer screen, and microwaving your Hot Pockets and drinking your Diet Joke and aspartame in your brain. Folks, you want to know why I'm talking like such a jerk? Because you need to snap out of this crap, ladies and gentlemen. You need to stop letting this be done to your children and letting this being done to you. This is inhumane, folks. This is not how people are supposed to live. People are supposed to have access to dirt so they can grow things. There's supposed to be trees that have fruit on them. There's supposed to be plants that have vegetables on them. Not this commissary of the prison system, folks. This is where everybody's going to come to get their frankenfruit and their pharmaceuticals and all of their drugs and their medicine and all of their digestive aids and all of their sleep enhancers, because they won't be able to sleep because of all the things that are being done to them in this high-density kill grid that was approved by the corrupt Fullerton City Council. Yeah, folks, you know, we try to fight this stuff, but you know, when the City Council is stuck on stupid year after year after year, and they keep approving this stuff, and then the residents of Fullerton are stuck on stupid and keep re-electing these people that are stuck on stupid, you're going to get more of this. And let me tell you something, folks. When the people aren't paying attention and the leaders are corrupt and crooked like the ones we have, the Agenda 21 eugenics agendas advance very rapidly. Oh, another thing about living like this, folks, you know, everyone's going to get their vaccinations living in this prison grid here, because guess what? When you live this close together and you're all breathing the same air, you're all going to get sick and you're all going to be subjected to the outbreak that they're either going to release or that they're going to engineer with the 5G systems that they're going to irradiate you with, that are going to induce symptoms to make you think like you've got some contagious illness that you need to be treated medically for, and they're going to provide you with vaccinations to prevent the spread of this disease X, folks. You heard me. Yes, disease X. That's the next thing they're coming up with. This fake disease from the 5G. When they put these microwave transmitters, these millimeter wave transmitters all over the light poles and all over the telephone poles and all over the power poles and all over the public right-of-ways, every couple hundred feet, everyone's going to start getting really sick, folks. Millimeter wave technology is weaponry that was developed by the military for crowd control. It has all kinds of effects on the human body. Burns the skin, burns the eyes, makes you drop to your knees. It makes you hear voices, it makes you see things. It can give you paralytic symptoms. There's all kinds of examples of how millimeter wave technology has actually been deployed in the United States right now in several schools. And I can go into great detail later on that, but the bottom line is when they put these systems in the schools, unbeknownst to the school administrators or even the school boards, what ended up happening was there's all kinds of kids that got sick, and even the teachers and staff got really ill, and as soon as they left the school, they were fine. They're going to induce illness with the microwave systems, folks. The weaponry is being deployed. The weaponry is something you're already in love with. You're watching everything on your smartphone right now instead of using a hardwired landline telephone and a hardwired computer. They've got you addicted and in love with this dangerous technology. It's a weapons grid, folks. This is a prison structure, folks. They're not locks on the door because they don't need them. They already have you stuck inside these things because you've got nowhere else to go, and they're going to make you work all these hours in an office or a factory that's going to have microwave systems in it, so you'll never be able to escape the radiation. Actually, you can. You don't have to live here. You can get the hell out of the city while you still can, so you don't become the star of the Hunger Games, folks. And that's my warning to you. Not everyone's going to make it in the coming days, folks. Not everyone's going to have the discernment and the wisdom or the courage to get with the program. But I can tell you right now, this is not where you want to be. Because I haven't even gone into the crime that's going to be ensuing and the lawlessness that they're going to bring forth. They've been emptying the jails and the mental hospitals for quite some time. The streets are full of homeless people, mentally ill people. There's people crossing the streets, talking to the airplanes, crossing the streets with shopping carts, wearing dark clothes, talking to themselves. There's all these people on the streets. There's violent criminals on the streets. There's all these people that are addicted to drugs on the streets. And that's just right now when the economy is still good. And there's still food in the commissary. I mean, you can go into Costco and you can give yourself a hernia, man. You could stuff your tummy until you can't even walk off 20 bucks in this place. But that's not going to be the case. Because eventually when the currency gets blown out, which it will, it's going to be like Venezuela and you're going to have empty shelves. And people are going to be killing each other and beating each other up for a ham sandwich. And you'll get to come home to this. And it won't look like this either, folks. Yes, the borders are wide open. California is a sanctuary state. And they want all these gang members from these third world countries coming in here and getting on public assistance and having anchor babies and just really draining all the social networks that we've got in place for people that have paid their taxes that would normally protect them if they fell in hard times. But you see, folks, what's happening right now is there's an intentional agenda to blow out the social network of our country. We're going to go third world overnight if the currency collapses. We're already stretched and taxed to the limit at this point right now. And the social network, like the food stamps, the SNAP, and the schools, and the hospitals, the Medicare, the Medicaid, all these freebie programs are busting at the seams with people trying to get their hands in the jar. And there's not enough to go around, and there's going to come a time where the whole thing just comes crashing down. And if you're living in one of these tilt-ups, and the prison commissary over here's got nothing on the shelves, well then I think you'll be out back looking through the trash bin for food like they're doing in Venezuela still to this day. Believe me, folks, you don't want to remain in the compact cities, because in the days ahead they're not going to be a place you want to live. I guarantee you, in a very short period of time, this will be a slum. And it's going to look a lot like this. This building's not finished right now, but I can tell you one thing. Its face is going to be pretty for a little while, but when the ugliness of reality sets in to what lies ahead for the mega cities, which is what this is going to become, it's not going to be pretty, folks. And I'm just warning you right now. Start making plans to get out of the mega cities, get out of the compact cities while you can. Start making financial preparations to leave the heavily populated areas and move to where you can have some dirt, where you'll have access to water, where you'll have access to fuel, and have access to food that you can grow or hunt. Because I want to tell you something, folks. Like I said in a previous video, if shit hits the fan and you're stuck in this place, you'll be on the menu. I guarantee it. This is Joe Imbriano coming to you from Fullerton, California, hoping my predictions won't come true. But the problem is the satanic pedophiles that run our government making sure that it will. And I don't trust these people, folks. I know what they're all about, and everything's hidden in plain view with them, folks. You got to wake up before it's too late.